How to combine two pictures using Photoshop. PS, you'll notice my Photoshop is not currently down here. If your application is never not down here, you need to go to the Spotlight search tool up here and type in Photoshop, and then it will find it. Photoshop CS6 is what we want. The same thing goes for iMovie. If you wouldn't find iMovie, you can go up to the Finder and find it. While I'm doing that, the picture I want to superimpose, I want to put myself in front of the Eiffel Tower. So I'm going to do a Google search for the Eiffel Tower. And I need to do Google Images. And again, it's very important to pick a large image. So I'm going to do Eiffel Tower. There it is. Return. I'm going to go to Images, and I need to pick a large image. So I go to Tools over here, Size, Large, and then I'll find a picture. I like this one right here. I'm going to click on it, wait till it gets clear, and then drag it to my desktop. If I don't wait till it's going to get clear, it's going to pick a smaller version and be unclear. If it doesn't get clear, like this one looks like it's not, I'm going to select another image because it may not be there anymore on the internet place where it was. So I'm going to click this one this time, click on it, I wait till it gets clear. There it is. I drag it to my desktop, and I have my picture for my background. I'm going to minimize this. I have my Photoshop open. Remember, some of this may take a long time, and I'm going to take this picture and put it into the middle of my Photoshop file. If your Photoshop does not look like mine, you need to go to Window, and there's an Adjustments, Color, Layers, Application Frame, which is behind this background. That's important. Application Frame. Options are up top here. You need Options, and you need Tools, which are this left side here, Window Tools. So you need those over there too. So if it doesn't look like it, then that's what the problem is. Okay, here's my background. The next picture I want to find, I want to drag up to this tab here. And so the picture I want is going to be in my Photos, which is this section here. So there's a couple options. I can either go to File, Open, and find my photos this way. Photos. I'll go in my Photos folder, and this is why it's important to create albums. Because in the albums, I see there's different photos. And the ones I want to have is Clark Tourist and Ugly Sweater. So this is me with my ugly sweater as a tourist. So I'm going to click on that, and that's going to open a new tab. Other way to do it would be to go to my actual photos and then drag a picture off onto the desktop that I like. And so let's say I want this picture here of me giving the thumbs up. I drag that onto my desktop, and then from the desktop, where it'll show up here. Oh, it showed up here. Sometimes it's organized in a different place. I drag this, and I need to make sure this arrow is right on this kind of medium gray area. So it's a tab aligned with these. So I'm going to drag this right here. Okay? And so here I am. I want to put those pictures in here. So if I'm using this picture, I'm going to go to my Selection tool, which is this tool here, Selection tool, and the plus. I have different options here. I can make this big. You see the circle is bigger, or I can make it smaller to be more fine. Another important thing to do is make sure this is on plus, is Command plus plus plus. I can zoom in. Command minus minus minus, I can zoom out. So those are really important tools. If I want to move this around, I click on this Move tool, and I can kind of manipulate what I'm doing here. Okay, so I want to select myself. I go to the Selection tool. If it's on something else, I hold down on it. If it's if it shows a magic wand, hold down on it and get the proper quick selection tool. Make sure you're on plus, and I start from the inside of my face, and let it select me and not try to be too cute around the edges. Okay, I want to make this actually a little bit bigger, so it goes faster. And so I'm selecting myself here. You see it selected a little bit of the board. We'll get to that in a minute. So I'm selecting myself. And then what I want to do here is make sure that I deselect the areas I don't want. And to deselect, if plus is select, deselect is minus. And then I simply go in these areas and make sure they're not selected. Okay, so it can look like I'm really there. You can zoom in if you need to get finer. Again, Command plus plus plus. Go to the plus tool and select my leg here. Minus tool, get in between my fingers here. Make sure this is deselected, right in between there. Now my pinky I want to do, so I'm going to go Command plus plus plus, scroll up, make this smaller, and select my pinky. Okay, so it matches and looks natural. Alright, once I'm completely selected, all I have to do is copy and paste myself into the other file. So I use Command minus 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 to go back. I'm missing a little of my hair, so I'm going to do plus and get that part. And then I use Command C to copy, Command C, and I go to my picture of the Eiffel Tower and Command V to paste. I'm too big for this right now, and you see I cut off my finger here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on this layer. I'm going to delete, push the delete button on your keyboard or the backspace button, and then I'm going to get rid of it, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to do a better job selecting Command plus plus plus, and I'm going to go in here and get more of my hand. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing, Command C to copy, Command V to paste, and I need to make myself smaller. In order to do that, I missed this part of my hand too. In order to do that, I do Command T for transform, Command T for transform. All these are on the wall over below Kevin Hart over there. And so I hold down Shift, click on this corner, and drag myself to be whatever size I want. I'm going to keep making myself smaller. I'm letting go, then clicking and dragging myself up. The most natural would be probably something where I'm actually cut off here. So I can make myself big, small, whatever I want here. Line myself up wherever I want. So I'm going to go over here. You see how it's blurry right now? Once I push return, it'll go back to being clear and crisp. The last thing I want to do to try to make it look the most natural is actually go to Image, Adjustments, and first I want to go to my shadows and highlights to try to make the shadows better. So that brightened me up, which I think is good. I'm going to drag it down actually a little bit. So it makes me look like I'm outside like that. Click OK. The other thing is Image, Adjustments, Brightness, and Contrast. With brightness and contrast, I can make this a little brighter to make it look more natural. Contrast kind of intensifies your colors or de-intensifies. So I'm going to add a contrast a little bit here, and this looks pretty real. The final thing I need to do is save this in two ways. I do File, Save As, and when I save it as a Photoshop file, it means I can still save it. PSD is Photoshop. I need to leave the period PSD. I'm going to do Mr. Clark Paris, and I'm going to save it not to my desktop, but I'm going to save it to my documents. So I'm going to save it to my documents. So Mr. Clark Paris PSD is the Photoshop file. The next file I'm going to save it as is Mr. Clark Paris JPEG, because in order to put this into a movie, I need to have a JPEG. So I do File, Save As, and I'm going to do this, and Format, I'm going to put Photoshop. If you can't see this stuff, if it looks like this, it's the same concept. Format, JPEG. This is just helping you save it in different areas. Same thing, Format's here, and I need to save it as JPEG. And you see JPEG actually saves as JPG. They're the same thing, JPEG. And it needs to say your name, period, JPEG, so you can find it. And that is how you impose yourself into a different image. One more thing, if I want to put this one, I can do the same thing just to refresh. Plus, I select my whole face, clicking and dragging from the inside. Okay. Select, select, select. You see it's a big program, so it takes a while, a lot of thinking. Okay, so it selected me pretty well, except for two areas where I need to go minus above my head here and this window here. Okay, Command C to copy, Command V to paste, too big, Command T to transform. I can do Command minus minus minus. You see how big this picture is? I hold down the Shift button, push myself down, Command plus 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 to make my picture bigger again. What if I want this picture behind this other one? So I push return to lock in the size, go to Image, Adjustments. First thing I go to is Shadow and Highlights. Okay, you can see kind of the colors a little different, right? Because I was inside here with the unnatural lighting. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to try to mess with the brightness and contrast to make it look like I was more outside, too far outside. With this one, it would actually have to get into less contrast to try to make it lighter. And then with this one, I'd also go into levels and exposure and things like this. Let's try vibrance real quick. There we go. So that one helped too, to take kind of that yellow lighting away from me. Okay, so if I want to do that and I want to put the other picture in front of me, I'm going to drag that layer up above here in Photoshop, and then that will look like it's in front of me. Again, to save, File, Save As, you're saving as both a PSD, which is a Photoshop file, and a JPG, which is JPEG, which is the JPEG. Okay, if you need to watch it again to get things slower, watch it again. Thank you.